I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to give back. And I thought that let me teach people about vision boards. And it was a dismal failure.
That's right.
Because that's not what God had sent me to do. Then I went through my inboxes, and people were like, "Oh, you're so confident. You're so confident. You speak so well. How do you stand in front of people? Please teach me." And I'm like, oh, they're actually asking me to teach them. And that's how I branched out. So what you're saying is so true. Ask the people around you, what am I good at?
That's right.
If I was to teach you something, what would you want to learn? Yeah.
That's right. So people will help you to actually identify what you're good at. Somebody can say, wow, you bake amazing cakes. Wow. Similar to me, Becky K. I started the mentorship program because people wanted to find out, George, how did you set up your business? George, how did you become great at this? And that's an opportunity. If somebody sees it, they seize it and they start. And when you start, 4 or 5 people can come. But guess what? That's an additional stream of income of something that you are good at. And you know, there's so many people who are stepping on their gold, but they actually don't know it. Vakatotsika goride ravo, but they are looking so far, what should I do? But the consultancy they can give, the things they do in their spare time, the coaching, the administration, there's so much you can do. But you need to really identify yourself on what you're good at and then work on that and become great. You know, there's a book called The Outliers which talks about the 10,000 hours. And believe it or not, when you become so good at something, Becky, you and me can speak at any occasion. Give me a microphone now. Without preparation, it will ooze out because of the amount of hours spent focusing and studying that craft, that now it looks so easy to somebody who sees you doing it. So you need to identify your strength. One thing that God purposed everybody and gave everybody very fairly and evenly is a gift. Your gift to mine is different, Becky. Our purpose is totally different. But the thing with a lot of people, they want to imitate something else and they're losing their purpose. And what you do, you lose a lot of time. Imitating, wanting to be like somebody else. Everybody has their unique gift. The singers we spoke about, the inventors we spoke about, they have their own specific purpose and mandate. And they are fulfilling that specific mandate. You too find yours. And sometimes it can take a little bit of time. I tell people that I used to be one of the JOBs many years ago, until people around me whispered, George, you're great at this. George, you're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, no, I'm the best salesman. I'm a great marketer. I'm this. But when you listen to the compliments, sometimes, you know, and most of the time, God uses people to speak. And people sometimes think, it's just these people saying. But when a lot of people come and continuously confirm something that is fruitful, that is something about you that you don't see, is trying to lead you and point you in a direction which you should go. So it's important. Find out what is it that you're good at. What is it God purposed me to be? Work on it. Be so good people cannot ignore you in that specific thing that you are doing, because your gift shall usher you into the presence of kings. Here locally, we've got people who used to sing. You know, big shout out to my brother, Jah Praiser, Alec Macheso, the late Dr. Oliver Mtukudzi. These people found out what they are good at. And understand, when they started this earlier on, vairowa, hakuna, magitara aite marisiana nazo. But guess what? They kept on that thing that they were doing. And what did it lead to them now, 20, 30 years later? Now they are household names. So every single time you begin something that you want to do, it's definitely going to face a lot of trial and tribulation and fighting and a lot of naysayers telling you, siana nazo rima guitar. But understand, one thing that you know that you are sent to be, it will keep fighting in you. You know, I love Jah Praiser's story, same with Macheso's. Vaenda pa next door, unotanga kuridza achipractice their thing because their own parents did not allow them to do it there. So sometimes you can get a lot of naysayers and people saying this, that, and the other. But Ramboka shingirira on that thing that you know, what, there's something in me which just loves this craft. And now, look at the levels these people have reached because vakaramba vakashingirira, and they held on to that thing. They didn't care what other people said. They didn't try and do another genre which was popular. They stuck to that specific thing, and look at now. That thing is now taking care of them and their families and many other generations. So it's important to be fruitful.
I'm
Number
going to
one.
take you back on that fruitful part of things. So when you talk about a tree bearing fruit, you can actually see, oh, that's an apple, that's a banana, that's a mango, that's an orange. You can actually see the fruit. It's tangible.
Yeah.
Does it have to be the same for us? When, as human beings, with this role that we are playing on the earth, with our purpose, when you say be fruitful, you spoke about, are you great at what you do? What are you good at?
Yep.
On top of that, and then bear the fruit, diversify, do the different things that you need to do in order for you to become fruitful. But what's the sign that I'm fruitful?
So being fruitful, and a lot of people misquote this. You know, in the Bible, they think being fruitful as earthly beings. This was when God told, Noah, after he, had the storm had ceased, God asked him to be fruitful, to go into the world, multiply and dominate. People thought, God is telling him, that's not it. That's the wrong revelation. Being fruitful is being productive, right? And if you see the people that I've mentioned, because they focused on that thing for a long time, the fruit then comes later. It's like planting a tree, right? It begins to grow, and then there's a certain stage that it will begin to bear fruit. So to people out there, being fruitful and bringing results is about focusing on that specific thing. We've spoken about the abbreviation FOCUS. Follow one course until success. Every single person on this planet who has become great and successful has focused. They don't do 1,000 things. They became great at that one specific thing, so great at that thing. Then that thing then gave birth to other things. But if you mention their names, that one thing is the thing that will come to your mind initially. That's the one thing that they were good at. So it's important for us to be fruitful by focusing on a specific thing, being so good at that thing. Then that thing in the long term will begin to pay you and begin to take care of you. We spoke of the musicians, we can talk of athletes, we can talk about business people. All of them became fruitful at a stage where people then began to embrace their gifts, their talents, and what they're good at, and began to bought into that thing. Right. Secondly, God purposed us to multiply, right? Now, multiplication is key. Now, multiplication is simple. If you know exactly what it is that you're doing. Now, in business, one of the greatest businesses that has been able to multiply what exactly it does are, some of these amazing food outlets, right? And if you think of a food outlet that you like to eat chicken or chips or whatever it is, or burgers, they have multiplied because that's God's intent of a human being. When you become so good at something, make sure that it's just not beneficial for your community. Saka no you bake my cake, it's just not for, I remember one of the greatest entrepreneurs, Colonel Sanders. He started, he found his gift in making chicken, and then he started selling it in his neighborhood until his neighborhood loved it so much, he opened a branch. And the purpose of one branch only catered for a specific town. And then he opened another branch to cater for more.
So
and more and more.
Getting you correct, it's got to do with helping others.
That's it, because God's purpose and mandate is not to benefit yourself. So Becky K, your gift in what you do, if you spoke to yourself every day, if you coached yourself every day, I don't think that's the purpose of God's.
That's weird.
You can't.
That's weird.
So the gifting in you is to help other multitudes of people to realize what they are supposed to do, in order for them to speak more confidently, in order to be etiquette, in order to MC, international events. That's your purpose, right?
Yeah.
So now you've done that, you found it, and now this is why even now you're bearing fruit, because every other weekend you're doing various things. Yeah. You understand? And now you've built a brand, and now guess what, Becky K, you're going to be in America, but they're going to need the Becky K consultancy team to come and MC an event somewhere else. So that's an idea to say it shouldn't just be me, the face of the brand. I should now have a team of expertise trained individuals that have now grown and gone across. So same thing, it's important to multiply. The purpose of God's sending us here on earth is to benefit multitudes, right? This is why our handheld devices, everybody has a phone, it's all over the world, but somebody became so good at it that they made this product, make people want it all over the world. The food we eat, wherever you go, that's the purpose of God's mandate for all of us. If you have a shop and if you have a business, you start small, but in order for you to reach where God wants you to be, like we said earlier, God does not want to show you kuti George wakangoperera muZimbabwe, waifana kutoenda muAfrica, wotozoenda kuEurope, wotozoenda kuAustralia, but wakazongoramba uri comfortable muHarare.
That's my greatest fear, to realize what my full potential could have been, and then I stopped midway. It is 10 minutes to 1 o'clock. We're speaking to George, a billionaire, for our edition on Hustle Hard, this week's edition for Hustle Hard. 3 things that we were purposeful on this earth. He's given us 2 so far. Number 1, Be Fruitful, where he talks about where you question yourself about the things that you are great at, and are you doing it? And are you also diversifying? Are you bearing the fruit? And the sign needs to be evident by being productive. Number 2 was Multiply. And when you multiply, you're talking about growth, you're talking about benefiting others. Who is it helping? The thing that you are doing right now, it's not for you, it's for others. So literally, you're blessed to be a blessing. You're multiplying so you can assist other people to multiply as well. When he gives us the 3rd point, you can send through your questions, and hopefully we can squeeze in some time to answer those questions. The number that you are sending your messages to is 0719 100 404, 0719 100 404. Or if you are watching on Facebook, you can send your questions on the comment section, and Nigel, you just signal, and then, you know, we'll attend to you. Back to you, George.
Right. And the 3rd and final point, we need to dominate. We need to dominate. Now, we need to be fruitful, we need to multiply, but the most important is to dominate. Now, when you think of a specific car which you think is the best, top of mind awareness, a name will come up. If you think of a phone, me and Becky K always have this fight. She wants another brand. I have the best brand, obviously. But automatically,
my guy.
You think of a brand. Yes. For now, the pulses. Let's deal with this off air. Okay. Right. So, when you think of food you want to eat, when you think of chicken, when you think of an aircon, when you think of getting your hair done, when you think of a wedding planner, when you think of flowers, when you think you want to travel, when you think you want to go and get nice shoes. So the purpose of you dominating, this is what God purposed each of us to be. You need to be fruitful, you need to multiply, and you need to dominate. When you are so good and your product and services are so good, people speak about you without you being there. Now, me and Becky, last time when I was showing her what my phone can do, how far it can zoom, already I know the people listening know which phone I'm talking about. And she was showing me hers. Imagine fighting for brands when the brand owners are not there. And you are automatically advertising somebody else's product and service because that product now has managed to dominate in your mind, in your thoughts.
That's the impact we should have.
That's the purpose God wanted all of us to be. Now, all of us listening, I know this is a fact. In the morning when you wake up, after you bath, you go and use your toothbrush. I know for certain there is a product that has dominated for years that you put on that toothbrush.
You don't even like it.
But whether you like it or not, it has dominated. It's not even a choice now when you go into the supermarkets. This is the purpose. This is the purpose that God sent us on this planet to be creators of products, to be creators of services, to make sure that your gift flourishes. And Becky, whether you are here or gone, it will still speak when you are gone. I love, and one person who encouraged me to become a great speaker, who I watched many years ago, is Dr. Miles Monroe. Imagine, he is long gone, but up until today, he still dominates the airwaves when you speak about the topic called purpose.
Yep.
There's nobody who can say, I've never heard about Dr. Miles Monroe and his teaching. There's no one. And this is the purpose of dominating even the airwaves. And imagine, They are singers, they are musicians. When your song dominates the airwaves, this is our purpose that we need to be. So whatever product or service or gift that you have has to be able to cater for the masses, that you begin to dominate. And this is what God purposed us to be. We need to be fruitful. We need to multiply, and we need to dominate, because this is what God's plan is. I don't want anybody to forget the example that I've given about going to heaven and being shown a video of what your life could have been. Right now, as you come back on earth, put your foot flat onto the pedal so that you'll reach where you want to go. In this life, because of fear, because of the unknown, false evidence appearing real. This is the abbreviation of fear. You have this imagination in your mind that, this is not for me. No, I'm not educated enough. I don't have a degree. I don't have this. And that's what holds you back. So your things are being killed, destroyed. And guess what? There's nothing you'll actually ever achieve if you have such a mindset. But when you begin to have revelation of, wait, God's purpose and mandate was for me are these three things. Am I being fruitful? Am I multiplying with the thing that I'm doing? Am I dominating? When people think about what's the first thing that comes to people's minds when they hear my name or my product, am I doing a great thing? And once you understand that, you work so hard on making sure that you better your product, your service, so that ultimately you want it to be the same. You know, I was in Shanghai one time and I had a burger at one of these shops, and that burger tastes exactly the same like the one I had in America, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe. And that's the power. Whenever you create a product so good and the standards are up to par, hapana difference. And this is why people keep coming to you, because of your sheer standard of excellence that you have.
Oh, I like that you brought in the aspect of excellence. We've got 4 minutes to go before we close it off. Just to say what's up to those who are watching on Facebook. Rashid T. Kunaka, thank you so much for tuning in. Not so sure if the volume thing was sorted out, Nigel, because you can send your questions onto our Facebook as well, so that we're not just focusing on those that are watching on Facebook, but you can also send your messages, all your questions, your comments, all your contributions to our WhatsApp platform 0719 100 404. George, the question I'm going to then ask is, with everything that you have taught us now, we now know that we should be fruitful, we should multiply, and we should dominate. I know we've asked you this question 1,000 times, probably, this comfort zone question. Now that I know, what's the first step that I'm doing? Because initially you said, when we asked you about how do I know where to begin, you just put it blank out that, you know what, God did create you for a purpose. Now can you imagine if this whole movie was played before you, and then you realize I'm sitting on myself and I'm comfortable. Now I know. How do I get out of that comfort zone? How do I get out? What's the first thing I am doing?
Now, I think the most simplest thing that one needs to do in order for you to get out of your comfort zone is actually to get out of the zone where you're comfortable. And this is your association. Now, I've said this and I'll say it again. The greatest hindrance to people ever becoming great is associating with small-minded people. Now, the comfort zone is surrounded by those we call chickens. And those people are people who don't have a great dream of where they want to be. Those people are okay. They don't want to be fruitful. They don't want to multiply. They don't want to dominate. They are okay. And remember, in the Bible, it says the poor will always have. But as of the pulsers, as of those who want to make a conscious, deliberate effort to becoming great, I only became the person I am because I went away from the people who used to hinder my progress by making it seem as though I was okay. Yet I had a bigger vision and a bigger dream of where I wanted to be. The moment you begin to hang out with people who are way ahead of you in success, in business, in life, it will mess your mind up. And we've said it before, it's like going to the gym. Your mind will be so expanded, it won't be able to come back to the place where there's chicken talk, there's excuses, there's procrastination, there is goa upon goa, there's this and that happened. and the conversation differs at a level where people have made it and are successful. And one thing I found with people who are successful, they are more than willing to help those who are coming up and who have a dream and a vision, and they'll share their stories. So it's important, first and foremost, to just change your association. Trust you me, we've always told you, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner than later you're going to get a haircut. If you hang around with people who are poor, sooner than later you're going to be poor. So your association truly determines your destination. Make sure that if you hang around with winners, even your talk, your lingo, the way you dress, the way everything changes, because you're getting outside the comfort zone. That's the first step. To somebody listening today who thinks, how am I going to become fruitful, to multiply, and to dominate? Find those who have made it and who are great. Hang out with them, and you'll begin to see, once you begin to apply these things, you too will be able to become fruitful, to multiply, and to dominate.
Right, it is 1 o'clock and we're crossing over to the news. Thanks to George Billionaire for today's edition of Hustle Hard. It's 1 o'clock. Stand by for the news.